Okay, let's talk a little bit about your general calendar for the year and your daily schedule, what your hours will be, things like that. So let's start with the general calendar. I made this list up just to give you a rough idea of what you can expect every month, and this isn't precise. It'll probably change a little bit, but this is just to give you a general idea. So first in January, the new semester has just started, so what you'll primarily be dealing with throughout at least the first couple weeks of January is registration issues. So this is something that is ongoing for a couple weeks and it'll get really frustrating, but do your best to resolve most of the issues. This is a great time to work very closely with Anna Edwards and registrar. So a lot of the students will have classes they don't know why they can't get into them. They want an override for them, things like that. So that's what you'll primarily be dealing with in January. Towards a little bit later in the month, you'll start dealing with recruiting new students, students who are still high school students about to graduate, and also current students who may be freshmen, sophomore, who have the requirements but are not yet in the program. So you'll be sending out emails to them. You'll be working with Dr. Davis to schedule appointment times, things like that. It's possible, I didn't list it here, but just thought of it, it's also possible that you may have an honors council meeting at this point for students who are about to graduate from the program. And we'll talk a lot about students who are about to graduate, their requirements, and things like that in another video. But for now, just know that it's possible that you might have an honors council meeting in January. In February, you'll start to work more on, again, recruiting, but face-to-face. So what this looks like is holding prospective honors student information sessions. And usually this is for incoming freshmen. So incoming freshmen and their parents will attend these meetings and you'll sit down with them, be one-on-one, or sometimes Dr. Davis will speak in large groups with them, discussing the requirements of the program, the benefits of the program, things like that, just so that students and their parents have a good understanding of what the honors program is all about. And just to warn you in advance, there are a few days you'll probably be expected to stay late in February because of these meetings. So just make sure that you prepare ahead of time for that. And Dr. Davis is really generous and really grateful for your participation. And sometimes you can even count those hours somewhere to make up for, leaving early one day, something like that. March is one of our busiest months. March and October are actually the most busy, but you'll hit March first, I'm pretty sure. So here's what we do in March. We hold midterm conferences for all of our students. So every single student in the honors program must be advised before they're going to register for their classes. Dr. Davis does a lot of this advising herself. We're currently working to get students' mentors involved more, and I'll explain what a mentor does a little bit later, but a student must either be advised by Dr. Davis or Dr. Julia Morrissey or their primary honors advisor. And so this takes place for the whole month and into April sometimes, and it will be every single hour there will be a student in Dr. Davis's office. So it's just very demanding. It's a lot to keep up with, a lot of paperwork. So just expect March to be a really busy time. Don't take off for vacation, obviously, in March. You'll be clearing students for classes. You'll be keeping track of who reserved what class, keeping that list, updating it, changing it frequently, talking to Melanie a lot during this time because you will share those classes with the dual enrollment students. So you need to be communicating with both Catherine and Melanie frequently during this time. You'll also begin to collect money from students who are about to graduate because during graduation, all the honor scholars receive a special cord to wear, and you need to order those from Jostens. And in March, we order them for both the spring and summer semester. So make sure that you order those cords after you've collected the money. And we charge $30 for those cords. They only cost about $26, but we need to make a buffer profit off of them. So definitely call Jostens. The number for Jostens is actually in your Rolodex on their desk, so you can look it up. And make sure you get the order in on time. So don't make the order for the week of graduation. Make it so that they ship probably at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance. And we'll discuss a little bit more about the graduation cords in another video, but just for now, make sure you remember that you're supposed to be ordering them and collecting the money for them by March. Give the students a deadline because that's the easiest way to get the money in on time. And finally, you'll do the very beginning of freshman advising. Yes, it's March and it's really early for students who are joining in August to be getting advised, but a lot of students start coming with their parents to see Dr. Davis and schedule appointments with her already by March. And by April, we are in full swing majority of freshman advising. So this is when a lot of freshmen are going to be coming in, discussing the program one-on-one. A lot of them have come from the February meeting that you held. So they're with their parents at that meeting. They learned about the program. They really liked it. And now they're setting up one-on-one appointments to talk to Dr. Davis. So they'll be discussing the program. They may even make a proposed schedule at this point. So that's what's going to be happening in April. We're still doing the tail end of our midterm conferences. Hopefully we've gotten most of them done by that point, but we might still have a few stragglers, people who procrastinated, things like that. And in April, registration begins. And our students have priority registration, which means they register before everybody else on campus, which is a great benefit of the program. But you have to make sure that by this point that you've cleared all of them to register, and I'll show you how to do that. And that's what's going to be taking up most of your time in April, is dealing with registration issues from the students. So just expect that in advance. And when we get into May, this is obviously graduation month. So you will be receiving that shipment from Jostens for the cords. You'll be handing out those cords to the graduates, and we'll still be doing freshman advising. So just expect that all the way until August. And then June, we will have another Honors Council meeting for students who are about to graduate the following semester to discuss their capstone proposals like we did in January. And then again, you will still be doing freshman advising. July is a pretty slow month for us. Our summer months are all pretty slow, actually, May through August. You will have certain tasks that you need to do, and you'll see freshmen coming the whole way through those months to do advising and discuss the honors program, but it's a lot slower pace than some of the other months. July is basically just freshman advising, and August is the very tail end of freshman advising, and then at the end of the month, you'll start dealing with registration issues again like you did in January because the new semester just started. So you'll be getting a lot of phone calls from students, people changing their schedules around, things like that. So just anticipate a little bit of chaos for about 2 weeks. And then September, we'll probably have another Honors Council meeting. We try and hold them 3 times a year, beginning of every semester, so that students who are graduating can start proposing their research. You'll do the same thing like before. You'll start collecting checks for graduation cords and then probably place your order end of September, beginning of October. October rolls around. This is, like I said earlier, the second busiest month that we have. You'll be doing basically everything that you were doing back in March. You'll do midterm conferences, again, where you'll be, a lot of advising, a lot of paperwork, a lot of clearing students for classes, registration issues might start to arise already. Just expect all of that to happen in October. You'll order the graduation cords if you haven't already. And then something else that you're going to do in October is prepare for Dr. Davis's NCHC conference. You might already have booked the tickets for her flight and her hotel room and things like that, maybe even in August, but she leaves for the conference in October, so just expect her to be gone for that week. In November, you're going to deal with registration. The students' prior registration will open up sometime in early November, and when Dr. Davis gets back from her conference, you can also start preparing her travel reimbursement form for the conference that she attended. Paulette is a great resource if you don't know how to do this, and Jesse also knows how to do it very well. So just ask them questions. This is something that has to go to Anna or Zai in business services. Like I said, they are business managers, so make sure you go through them. They can also help you if anything's missing. They can tell you what you need. So definitely check in with them. And finally, December is graduation again. So you'll be handing out the cords to the graduates. And it's kind of a short month for us. We're only really there about 2 weeks, and then we have our break. And real quick, let's just talk about your work schedule. Obviously, you're going to be working 40 hours a week, about 8 hours per day, give or take. And what I love about the job is that it's very flexible, and I mean that in a couple of different ways. One of them is that Dr. Casey, the chair of the department, is incredibly gracious and accommodating. So if you have something like a doctor's appointment, or if you have, a child who needs to be attending something or she's sick, they are very accommodating and willing to work with your schedule. So don't be afraid to ask. They're usually always going to say yes, as long as it's not something very sudden. And Dr. Davis is the same way. She wants you to be happy in your job. She wants you to have a good bit of flexibility and to enjoy your time off. So definitely ask for days off. If you have them, you should be getting, I think it's 10 hours of vacation and 8 hours of sick, or maybe it's the other way around. But you accommodate off time pretty quickly. So definitely feel free to ask for it off if you have it. Another way it's really flexible is what time do you decide to come into the office. Now, Jessie at the front desk and Melanie both choose to work a little bit earlier than I worked. They usually work 8 to 4 or 8 to 5 with their lunch break for an hour. And I preferred to have an 8:30 to 4:30 schedule, and I didn't take my lunch break. I ate at my desk. And one of the reasons I took a later schedule is, one, because I'm still in college student mode and I had a hard time getting up early. But the other reason is because it actually works the best for Dr. Davis. Because Dr. Davis doesn't show up in the office until about 9:15, and she leaves closer to 4:30 or 5. And so having a later schedule made sure that I was still there, when she would get ready to leave. So I made sure I was there for her whole time, and that was really helpful for her. So I chose a little bit later schedule. Discuss it with her. Talk to Dr. Casey about it. Just feel free to do whatever you want as long as you're getting in your 8 hours a day. And finally, another great perk of the department, which is so wonderful. We don't tell a lot of other departments about it because we're one of the few departments that actually get this benefit, is work from home days. And what basically will happen is that after a few weeks of being in the job, you'll be granted permission to take work from home days every other Friday during the year. And you are expected to be available by phone and by email, but Dr. Davis is not really strict about this at all. She's not going to be asking you to do a lot on your days off. She also takes every Friday off. So don't expect her to demand too much from you on a Friday, but just in case, make sure your cell phone is on and make sure you check in your email once or twice a day just to make sure nothing is going on that needs to be addressed right away.